Hey everybody, it's Pat from Dancing Moon Travel, and so glad you could be with us this evening. We are so glad to have you on board with us, and I am very excited about our guest for today. But before we bring Joe on, I just want to give you a very quick video clip here. This is just a short one to give you just a little visual on Alaska. And with that, I want to welcome our guest this evening, Joe Ordonez.
Hello. Hi,
Hi,
Pat.
Joe.
Hi.
Joe is he is the owner of Rainbow Glacier Adventures in Haines, Alaska. Joe has been a trusted provider for Dancing Moon Travel for a number of years now, and we're excited to bring him on. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
all those eagles. Some people wait a lifetime to see an eagle.
Yes.
And that is
They-
amazing.
yeah, they call it the Valley of the Eagles here. So this is a place you can see eagles every day. I just had one flying outside the window right here of where I'm staying here, and Paradise Cove is the place where I'm staying. But I do want to start by saying, you said I'm the owner. I want to add that I'm co-owner. I'm married, and my wife Yvonne is also owner, and we've built the business together over the last 20 years. So we're a team. We've got a family-run business. We've got 2 kids here in Haines, so we're really local Alaskan people doing our best to take care of folks who want to come visit. Yeah.
Okay. And folks, you'd want to come visit Alaska. Trust me on this. If you've never been, if you don't think you ever want to go to you still need to go because you will fall in love with it. Take my word for that.
That's right.
Joe, let's just jump right in. Could you kind of give me an overview of your background? Let people know how did you get into the travel industry and eventually start Rainbow Glacier Adventures?
All right. Yeah. I've had a lifelong love of nature. You don't know where those kind of early urgings come from, but for me, because I was born in Buffalo, New York, of all places, so you don't think of it as a nature destination, but early memories I have as a kid, very early memories. My folks taking me up into Canada and seeing just flocks and flocks of geese and swans flying around in some of the ponds up there, and catching frogs in a little pond, and looking for snakes. And I mean, I remember one of my earliest memories, a snowy owl came down from the north and flew through our little neighborhood, and we were out, kids chasing, trying to get a view of the snowy owl. So I had a natural love of nature. I just grew up that way. Moved to Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, and was hiking around there, and then to Washington State. So when it came time to go to college, I chose environmental education as my major because it made sense to be out in nature, learn about nature, and then share it with others. So that's kind of what environmental education is all about, and that's been my career now for over 30 years for sure.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you've pursued a passion that started back in childhood.
Yes, nature, and then also travel. My father, born in Guatemala, came to the United States when he was 16, and so he took me traveling down to Guatemala when I was growing up, and so he'd go on trips and come back with archaeological objects from Peru or wherever he was going, whatever he was doing, got me interested. So I've loved travel. So when I had a chance to get in the travel industry out of college, I worked bus tours in the Canadian Rockies. early on, right? 22 years old, going up into Banff, Jasper, Lake Louise, and teaching people about the nature and the history of things they were seeing. And then I got on small cruise lines, small ships like 80 passengers, and I was the naturalist and cruise director and in Alaska and Panama, Tahiti. And so at one point I was just like, okay, traveling's great, but I'm looking for a little bit of a home. And I came up here to Haines and actually went on I'm working on the ship, and I went on the Bald Eagle rafting trip. And I just said, wow, I said, for me, this is the greatest place. I remember distinctly, it was 1986, and we floated in the raft right under a tree, and there was two bald eagles and they didn't move. We went right underneath them. I said, wow, this is something I could do. I could be one of these guys. I asked the owner of the company, and he said, hey, you want a job? Let me know. And so I was in Tahiti, actually. The ship went to Tahiti. I was there, it was crystal clear water, tropical food, but I kept thinking about Haines and the Bald Eagle Preserve. And so I moved here the next year, worked for that company for several years, and then started my own company because really the reason I started Rainbow Glacier Adventures, because my background was in these small ships, 80 passenger, an intimate educational experience. And at that time, the tour industry, a lot of it was moving towards bigger ships, bigger groups, bigger buses. And so I wanted to start a company that kept with that small group educational philosophy. And that's when I founded Rainbow Glacier Adventures, based on that.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think the name of your company, is it because you're located on or near that glacier?
Yeah, that's a good question. The Rainbow Glacier is the name of a glacier outside of Haines, 7 miles south of Haines. So you can only see it if you get into town, you don't see the Rainbow Glacier. But if you drive south or if you come up by boat, and the Rainbow Glacier is the hanging glacier, so it's 3,000 feet up from sea level, and then there's a giant waterfall that pours out the front of it. And when I moved here, I found a piece of land, a place called Mud Bay, and I was like, this is great. It was 3 acres of land and relatively inexpensive. And I'm like, I'm going to buy it at a view of the Rainbow Glacier. Well, what I realized, part of the reason it was inexpensive, because there's no road. So I had to park my vehicle and then walk across the mud flats to a 20-minute walk, to get to the building spot. So it was this big adventure in my life to carry the materials across, or when the tide comes in, float the materials across, build this cabin. The whole time I'm building it, there's the Rainbow Glacier right there. Just this waterfall, you could hear it. Sometimes the ice would break off and you'd see, the ice fall coming down the side of the mountain, and 37 mountain peaks from the deck that I'm building for this cabin. So when I formed my company, I wasn't sure exactly what we do, what to name it, because I wasn't sure exactly, but I knew that the Rainbow Glacier was such a big part of kind of who I was, that it made sense to just call it Rainbow Glacier Adventures, and that's a good name.
That's the way it starts. Sometimes it just, how could it get any better? Can you believe that my doorbell is ringing?
Oh,
Of all the funny things. My sister's getting it. No biggie. It's just like all of a sudden you've got the chimes ringing out here.
yeah.
But that's a fascinating story. Thanks for sharing that. And what sets Rainbow Glacier Adventures, what sets you apart as a tour company up there in Haines?
Well, I think one of the things is that we are in Haines, and when you think about Southeast Alaska and the cruise industry, a lot of the towns have really changed because of the massive amounts of cruise people coming. Ketchikan, Skagway, and Juneau are getting over 1 million people a summer, or were, pre-pandemic, right?
Yes.
So
in a normal year.
Yeah, they're little towns. Skagway is a population, 1,000 people, 1 million cruise ship visitors. So there's just no way those towns can't, change. They have to change to be able to accommodate that many people. And so the experience you end up getting a lot of times is not quite as authentic. Now, Haines, this is really interesting. Haines is 15 miles from Skagway. You got a million people coming 15 miles away. Now, anywhere else in the world, big deal. You jump in your car, drive 15 miles, right? But because of Alaska and the geography, it's these fjords, the cliff sides. If you want to drive from Haines to Skagway, you have to drive 360 miles.
Oh, my word.
To go 15 miles because there's no direct road. You have to go way up into the Yukon, cross into Canada, and then drive 100 miles up on the Yukon Plateau and come down through the mountain pass. So even though there's all these people over in Skagway, they can't just pop
over there.
Just jump on a bus. If they want to come, they have to get on a boat or a plane. And so Haines hasn't changed like the other towns. So one of the things that's really unique about Rainbow Glacier Adventures is that we are in Haines. We don't have mass amounts of cruise ships in our town, but there's a day boat that comes over, brings people about 150 at a time every couple hours. So we're getting us kind of a steady trickle of visitors instead of just a fire hydrant, exploding and people everywhere. So that's one of the first things I'd say about our company is we are in Haines. I've made a commitment to Haines. I love it. And so, and I hire mostly local people who've been here. When visitors come to Alaska, doesn't matter what tour they're on, one of the main questions they have is, what's it like in the winter? So what's it like right now up here? What's going on in the winter? And a lot of companies, they're so big and they got so many people coming, they have to hire, great kids, but they're from Utah or they're from Florida or and they can't answer that question because
they've never been there in the winter.
Never been there in the winter. They come, they do a seasonal job, they go back to college. So one thing sets us apart is that we're first of all, in Haines. Secondly, we got primarily local hire. And third is the commitment I've made from the founding for small groups. So we don't have any giant 40 passenger buses. We only use 15 passenger vehicle maximum.
And people can easily book one of your tours. I know because we've done this particularly with groups. We do this, but they get off the ship in Skagway, and that trip on that little vessel.
Yeah.
It's really, that trip can be unforgettable. You never know what you're going to see out there on the water between Skagway and Haines.
That's right, and that's that stretch of water and those cliff sides that is so steep. There's no road there. You can't drive along that particular stretch. So so there's waterfalls and then maybe seals and eagles and seabirds, and so just getting to Haines, this 45-minute boat ride is beautiful. And then once you get to Haines, most of our tours, people are here for 4 hours, and our main tours we offer in that 4 hours would be like a kayak tour in the Chilkoot Lake, rafting in the Bald Eagle Preserve, the photography tours. We love to take people out. I'm a committed photographer. I love there we are rafting in that particular image there. So, and then wildlife viewing is the other one, because the Chilkoot area is just one of the best wildlife viewing areas in Alaska, and it just so happens to be just a 20-minute drive from Haines. So
we never take a photography tour. We do some of those with the cruise lines. They'll get on the ship, and so they're doing photography, but they're also having fun and enjoying a cruise with their family. Yeah. And we always book one of your tours when we're up there, because they're just unforgettable. And here you guys are out again in the kayaks.
Yeah. Look at that reflection, and that's on a lake, and that's one of the good things is that particular area where we kayak is generally out of the wind. So you're out of the wind. The conditions are typically smooth like that, and that lake is a spawning area for the sockeye salmon. So certain times of the year you can float right in with the kayak, and the nose of the kayak, right at the nose of the kayak, you see those red salmon just swimming up the stream to spawn, and then
By the thousands.
yeah, they're coming up, and then in the trees above where the salmon are the eagles, because of course they're feeding on them. So so many things come together in Alaska in the summer that it's just.
And speaking of that, something else is attracted to the salmon.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Haines is known as a great spot for bear viewing. Starting in August, the pink salmon come into the Chilkoot River, and the bears. There's a road that goes along the river, and the bears come. There's some bears. They're actually crossing the road right there. So the bears have learned that no one's going to bother them. They can feed on the salmon right there, come and go. And so for bear viewing, August, September is really pretty reliable. And a lot of places in Alaska, you have to fly, maybe in a bush plane or something to see bear. And in Haines, you just come over, and we can drive you to a good spot for bear viewing. Yeah.
This is just amazing. We touched on something. I want to backtrack for just a second, Joe. You touched on something, and I think this is also one of your secret weapons with your tours. Your guides. You just touched on that. I wanted to explore that just a little more, because they're really a secret weapon for you.
Well, yeah, and we actually call it our team, because it starts right when you call our office. Michelle, the general manager, or Kathy, assistant manager, people are going to answer the phone. They're also, local people. They've lived here. They take the time to listen, and they help kind of steer you in the right direction. And so the experience with Rainbow Glacier, as soon as you call us or get online, you're talking with one of us, and we're going to help kind of personalize the experience. So just our office staff is a great part of who we are. Jim, who takes care of our vehicles, important part of our team. And so it's right in our mission statement that we talk about the high quality team. And so, there's all that kind of behind the scenes work, and I'm right there, involved, making sure things go smoothly. And there's one of my photographs. I took that one. So, I care about the quality of everything. And then the guides themselves, that's really a huge part.
Yeah. Well, this photograph, Joe, this is amazing. The detail in that with the wings and the talons and the whole thing. You are quite the photographer. And I know I have a copy of your book. What's the name of that book, in case people want to know more of this?
Yeah, sure. That book's called Where Eagles Gather, and that photo's actually on the back cover there. Where Eagles Gather: The Story of the Chilkat Bald Eagle Preserve, Haines, Alaska. So like I say, 1986, I went rafting. I started doing trips in the Eagle Preserve, training guides. So I've spent, some of my photographs go back in that book, go back 30 years or more, where I've had all these experiences, getting to know the area. And so that's something about our guides. It's the experience like of rafting or kayaking or wildlife viewing. But then there's also the depth of the story behind it. And the research that it takes. It's not just, it's about having fun, right? You're on vacation, but there's also an educational element. My background's in environmental education, so I think people have more fun when they learn a little bit about the area. They feel more connected to it. And so that's one of the reasons, I produced that book, was to just give people a little bit more depth in the Eagle Preserve. So yeah, it's called Where Eagles Gather: The Story of the Chilkat Bald Eagle Preserve. And I love sharing that with people. Yeah,
that is so cool, and it's filled with your photography and information, and I highly recommend that book for people, even if you can't travel to Alaska. But it's a great thing to start with before you make your trip.
Right. Yeah, give. Not everyone can make it, but of course, we sure encourage you, like you said at the start, to come to Alaska. But I do want to say just a little bit more about our guides. Maybe like highlight one just to give you
sure,
a little bit of storyline there, because like our kayak tours, our manager of our kayak program, her name's Allie Zeiger, and she was born in Juneau. So we're talking about a lifelong Alaskan, And then back here about 15 years ago, she moved to Haines. And I was telling you, remember I was telling you a story about where I built my cabin, Mud Bay. We have to
Mhm.
walk across the mud flats to get there. Well, where Allie's family, and that sounds hardcore, right? It sounds a little bit intense. Well, they're a step beyond that, because first they cross the mud flats, then they get on a trail and walk a mile over a ridge through the forest to their beachside location. So you talk about, having to get to your spot. Just that in itself. There's no power coming from the city. There's no water. It's complete homesteading. This is Iger family homestead. So she grew up off grid, living in Alaska. Now, when the tide is right and the conditions are right, she'll jump in a kayak, and instead of doing all that walking, she can just kind of float around and paddle around to to come home. So when she's guiding, this is not just, oh, I just got hired as a kayak guide. It's part of her life, living in Alaska nature, kayaking as a way of life. And so when you go kayaking with Allie, you're getting a depth of knowledge about the area, about the plants. And then plus she went on to college, got a degree in anthropology. So she's knowledgeable of the culture. And that's the type of quality person that we're looking for. So you say it's a secret weapon. I guess the secret's out. But the secret is high quality educational experiences. And right in our mission statement, it talks about connecting our guests with Alaska through our high quality team. So it's
And
about
that's great.
connection. It's about connection. And what I find in life is people want connection. We're all striving for connection. And connection in Alaska, you have a chance to connect with nature in a profound way. So if you got the right guide, they can sort of steer you so that your eyes get open to what's right in front of you. Alaska's right there, and just with the right guide, not interjecting themselves too much, but just creating some space, then suddenly you go, wow, look what's here, right? Look at Alaska and feel it inside. And then that translates to someone who cares about it, wants to protect it, and that's part of the environmental side of
And
what I believe.
I think this is such an important part about guided tours in general.
Yes.
That because I can go and I can wander around and look at things, but I don't really have a clue. I think, oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that, but I don't know the history and the meaning and the what the context of what I'm seeing.
Right. It's right there in front of you, but you don't really see it. And that's like I call it the window washer philosophy of guiding.
There
It's
you
like,
go.
yeah, you've got, let's say you're in a beautiful cabin. There's a great view in front of you, but the window's cloudy. You can't see it. So someone comes and wipes the window clean. Now, you don't spend your time going, look at that window washer. That's the greatest window washer in the world. No, you go, look out the window. So our job as guides is not to just talk all about ourselves and our great lives and our great story, even though people are interested in that. A bigger part of what we're doing is just wiping away whatever it is. If your glasses are dirty, when you finally wipe them clean, oh, look at that. It's right there in front of me. So that's our job as guides, is kind of peel that mist away and let people get that moment of connection. I mean, it's important as a guide, I say that sometimes just stop talking. You're in nature. Listen, be quiet. And then Alaska comes kind of flooding in. That's what we're after.
Yeah, I know for a fact that sometimes when somebody comes up there and takes one of your tours, they form lifetime friendships
Yeah.
and relationships with these guides, and they stay in touch for years afterwards. I know because actually Kevin, my associate Kevin, has
Yeah.
been up there a couple of times with you, and he's developed a real friendship with one of your guides up there, and they stay in touch, and through him I've kind of gotten acquainted, even though I wasn't there and I never
Yeah.
met him. We still have, I still I always I know when his birthday is, and I send him a birthday
Right.
message. We
Right.
stay. So it's really, it's just a cool thing. Joe,
Yeah.
what is it, if you had to say, what is it about Alaska that people just, I mean, they come back just filled with awe at their experience, even when they weren't particularly excited about taking the trip.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I, I think there's a intensity of the landscape. You know, you're let's say you're on a ship or in a kayak. Things are close together. You've got the water, and then you've got the mountains coming straight up out of the water. You know, these fjords are deep, and then the mountains are coming straight up, and then you know when you drive around or get out, there's not like plastic trash. Oh, look at this photograph. You know, the beach. There's not plastic trash all over that. There's no one who came and specially cleaned that up. That's just you're far enough away from population centers, people, that you get a chance to just kind of directly intersect with nature. And I think so many of us are hungry for that. We're hungry for nature. You know, if you're in an urban environment or you work in an office, you know, or even a small town, you know, you're not maybe prepared to come to Alaska, and there are mountains coming 6,000 feet straight up out of the ocean. You know, glaciers, the Rainbow Glacier, like a waterfall, you know, shooting straight down, and the eagle flying right overhead, or maybe a moose or a bear, or you know, these things are unexpected. And then when you really get to take a moment to breathe and feel them, they do make a deep impact. Yeah,
Just the vastness and the awesomeness of it's hard to describe.
it
You have
is.
to experience it. So I've said it so many times, folks, but if you haven't been to Alaska, you really need to have it on your list. It's just that kind of place. Joe, I'm mindful of the time here, and I see one of the
Okay.
things that I want to touch on up there is a pandemic.
Okay.
I know that your area up there has been your businesses for a lot of, yeah. I mean, they depend on the tourist, the summers with. I mean, that's the nature of your business.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
tell us a little bit about how has Haines managed through this.
Well, Haines has been hit hard. I mean, to be honest, Haines has been hit hard. Skagway's been hit hard. You know, the Canada border's closed. We're 40 miles from the Canada border, and so the cruise ships that come up can't stop in Canada, so they can't come up here. It's part of the law that they have to come here. Plus, if they come here, there's you know the tour companies. Aren't able to bring people in their vehicles. You can't do it safely right now. So basically, we lost the entire season. 2020 season, we shut down. We didn't take a single person on any. We never got our rat. We never blew up our rafts. We didn't get our kayaks out. Our vehicles sat parked, and most companies did little or no business, and we were the same way. So it's been tough. Combined with the pandemic, it made national news. We had a landslide here in December that wiped out several houses. Lost some kindergarten teacher and one of our community leaders. The salmon runs were weak, so the bears were roaming through town, getting into people's houses, and people had to shoot bears, you know, brown bears in their yards, and the salmon runs were so low that the eagles that normally come didn't show. So the combination of the pandemic, you know, the economic, the wildlife numbers, the landslide. Pat, it's been a tough year.
It just you guys got hit on so many different levels and in so many different directions, not just the pandemic, but nature was just seemed to turn her back. It sounds like up there.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. I won't pretend it hasn't. Yeah.
You know, I think all of us in the tourism industry and probably most of the world, regardless of what they do, we were not sorry to see 2020 in the rearview mirror, and let us hope that it looks to me like things are opening up, that we've got the vaccine on the horizon, and much better things to come for 2021. And I would just want to encourage people, folks, if Alaska is on your bucket list, there could be no better time to book. In fact, now would be a wonderful time. I've been quoting some trips, and uh, definitely rates have taken a jump already. And I think when the cruise lines begin to sail, I'm expecting to see that take another jump. So locking in earlier would be a good thing. And
Yeah.
if you want to book with Joe, get in touch with us. You all know how to reach us, and you can just contact us, and we'll get you booked with Joe, or contact Joe directly. Just tell him that we sent you.
Sure.
And Joe, how do people get in touch with you?
We're tourhaines.com, Tourhaines, tourhaines.com. You can Google Rainbow Glacier Adventures, our company. You can call us, email. We're very responsive. We'll get back to you right away and let you know kind of where we're at in the process, because we're still waiting to see. The Canada border is still closed, so we're waiting to see when things are.
You still don't know when exactly the tour. Let us hope by May, when the cruise ships are scheduled to be sailing up there, that comes to pass. You guys need those tourists to come up there, and they need to come up there and see you guys.
That's right. That's right. It's a symbiotic relationship.
It is.
We need them, and when things open up, we're going to be here. That's our commitment. When things open up, when we can do it safely, we're going to be here.
That's what we said when this hit. I said, a lot of agents just threw in the towel, but said when things open up, we will be here, and you will be there. We have total confidence when we put our guests in your hands. We know that they are going to have a first-rate experience and come home raving with positive things to say.
Well, that's our goal. In the end, we want people to come and be happy, right? That's just good business. That's what travel's all about, and people are looking for, I think, for an authentic experience with high quality guides in a small group. If those sorts of things sound good, then through you or directly with us, give us a ring. We'll be there.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Joe. Great to have you on board. We appreciate your friendship and all that you have done for our clients in past years, and may many more come this year.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
All right. Thank you.